Hey, welcome back to Terror in Talabheim. This is episode 7. As we recall, it's been a little while. As you recall, other than the death of poor Poochie there, you guys made it through the tunnels underneath the Talabastan and have miraculously emerged into the night air of the city, which can be none other than Talabheim. And in fact, when you do emerge, you can see that you are in the Talos. Those of you who have lived here recognize this area, and you have come out of what are known as the rat holds. You've probably never yourself been in before, but now you have seen some of it. And so you have a moment to breathe a sigh of relief, although a couple of you, namely Andolf and Torin, are coughing quite a bit more than you had been previously.
Sigmar's teeth, I can see why they call it the rat holds. Ah, sort of stretches. Some wounds that were taken down there. How familiar am I with this place as far as the Talos and area around?
You probably know the Talos pretty well because it's the shit district.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's where you've done a lot of your muckraking.
Oh, yes. So we're looking for a particular alchemist, my understanding of it.
You are by the name of Ulfas Daubler.
Okay, and are we familiar? I mean, I'm thinking Merchant District would be, and I mean, it's a fair assumption on my end, but
that's a likelihood, not definitive. It could also be in Guild Row, depending on what kind of alchemist he is. But if he's independent, he's likely to be in the Merchant District. If he's strictly a man, important in a guild, he might be in the
sponsored
Guild Row. Yeah.
Can I try to folklore that name, maybe? See if that's something that's come up before in my...
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Any positives, negatives?
No. Just do it straight up. All right. That's a success. So you have heard the name before. You have heard it in the context of him not sounding like he's a very important person. Poor people go to him sometimes, which means he can't be very expensive, and he's likely in the Merchant District and not in Guild Row. You were not entirely sure where in the Merchant District he would be, but you're fairly certain that's where he is.
We'll look at the other two, or the other four, I suppose. Back. Now, as far as this Daubler, I believe I have an inkling of where he may be. I have heard the other poor folks speak of him. They use him for poultices and such, in a way that he is perhaps not a man of import in the city. I think he may be in the Merchant District. I propose we go there and ask around until we locate his abode.
These sound good. And it's quite apparent that Nikolai's a little worse for wear, mainly because I'm actually worse for wear in real life. So we should make haste. Get there as quickly as possible. He's doing his best to fight back sneezing and hacking.
Andolph looks up at the sky and he says, "Morning won't be for another 2 or 3 hours, and I know they won't let us through the gate until then." How is that for an Andolph voice?
Solid.
Not bad at all.
Respectable performance.
Basically just figure on.
Not enough stars in that soliloquy, but
Yeah.
The stars say that our journey to the gate will be a good one.
Where's my salt?
Well, but if it doesn't open for another couple of hours, then what might we do until then? I guess.
well, we're all looking a bit worse for wear, if we're being completely honest. We could take some time to rest and recover. I could apply some basic treatments with what few medical provisions that we have. See if we can elongate these pitiful lives long enough to deliver this antidote.
If I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I think that's maybe the most upbeat you've ever sounded. I'm feeling a bit more inspired now.
Oh, make no mistake, Francis. We're probably still going to die. But we have to try.
And almost as if on cue when you say that, Torin collapses on the ground. He'd been standing there quietly, maybe wobbling just a bit, but he all of a sudden just kind of collapses.
Was ist das? Was ist so? Big man, focus to me, to eyes, to me, focus. Start snapping fingers. Trying to get him to...
He's still breathing, but he appears to have passed out.
Francis will just walk over to Torin and just nudge him with his foot a little bit. What do you think we should do with him then? I mean, he's rather large. I mean, would be. I don't think we're going to be able to come up with some type of makeshift gurney or anything. What I guess what do we do with him?
Well, can I do? Let's see. I want to do a heal check, kind of see what the prognosis appears to be for poor Torin.
Okay.
I have an idea of what that already is.
Do you have any light? I'm trying to remember.
Do we have torches?
Yeah, I think you do.
I don't know if we struck them, but we can.
I can't recall if we got rid of them or anything.
I think
you must have one. Yeah, go ahead. That will help you to see.
All
Ah,
right.
okay. He's alive, but even in the kind of poor torchlight, you can see that the color of his skin is quite pallid. And when you look at where he was wounded before, rather badly, there is a lot of blood soaked into his garments. So you are imagining that he must have lost quite a lot of blood, and that it just he has finally collapsed. Either exhaustion, blood loss, or a combination.
Oh. Well, It appears the travels and wounds have caught up to Torin. He may beat us all to Sigmar's gates. Let me see what I can do. Let's try to do some rebandaging and.
Yeah, that can be all part of that heal check. You rebandage him, and that's going to delay any further degradation in his condition. But you're not particularly hopeful about his chances.
Or in general.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's true. I shouldn't use the word hopeful. Always a poor choice when it comes to Lucius.
Well, he's probably still going to die, but I've kept him on this land for a few hours more at least. We shall see. Someone will have to bear his burden if we wish to save him, or if not, we can just leave him at a doorstep, I suppose. Seems a bit unfit to do so.
Yeah, Nikolai's immediately negative response when you talk about someone needs to bear him. He's like, no, nine. This is to carry him around would only draw attention. If they see that he is sick or have suspicion, they'd get rid of all of us. Throw outside of gate or try to burn.
I don't typically agree with that type of thinking, but in this case, I think I do actually. I don't particularly wish to bear his weight or have to or draw more unwanted attention to ourselves. And then, you know, in the long run, I guess if we make it, it's one less share too. That's always a plus.
Lucius looks at. All right, Andolph.
Andolph collapses.
He looks up at the stars. He says, I believe the stars are telling us that we must do what we must do. If its time has come, there's not much we can do about it.
All right, then we're all in agreement. We must make sacrifices sometimes for Sigmar's will to be enacted by others. And in this case,
you're here.
Torin, well, you're a brave soul. And I wish you all the best when you go to seek Sigmar's warmth. Let me find the coin purse. All right. If anyone has any belongings of Torin's they would like to take before the rats and beggars begin to take what they will, we should do so and be off quickly.
Yeah, what is he carrying anyway?
Let's see.
He's got a pointed stick.
He's got a dueling pistol and a mortuary sword.
I would like that pistol.
And I think he took the rapier off of your guide as well.
He was stashing shit.
Yes, he stashed some shit. So does anyone want to take any of that? Francis, you said you wanted something. What do you want? That pistol?
Yeah, the dueling pistol.
The coin.
All right. I think you already have one, don't you?
Why can't I have
Oh,
two?
no, you have a flintlock pistol and
Yeah, I
a
have a
dueling pistol now. Yeah. Oh, of course you can have two.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
The more the merrier. It's less time to have to reload.
Exactly.
All right.
And Francis will walk over to him, I guess, then, and,
Well, sorry about this, mate, but I really don't think you'll be needing it. In your condition, if anybody comes along, I don't think you'll be able to use it, so I might as well use it myself. Thanks.
And so you reach down to take it, and Torin's hand weakly kind of grabs your wrist as you're taking the pistol, but his grip loosens very quickly.
and Francis is just mortified when his hand comes up. And he just gives a shrill, he just has a shrill look. And he just kind of, you know, in sort of a sissy type of way, just bats his hand. Oh, no,
I'm taking this. I'm sorry. But you don't need it anymore.
He kind of... You're not sure what he's saying, but he's muttering something. Did someone want any of his hand weapons?
What the hell's a mortuary sword?
It's a sword. Actually,
Smells
I
like
forget.
corpses.
Let me take a quick look here. I forget myself that it's a pretty decent sword, as I remember. It's almost like a straight cutlass or saber, but it's straight. It's like a heavy basket-hilted sword.
This guy's more of a puncher.
And there's the
Cool,
rapier
man.
as well on his other belt. Or yeah. And meanwhile, Lucius is saying some quiet prayers over him.
And Nikolai will just look at his possession, shrug, and toss them to anybody that wants them. He will at least try to make sure that the man's seated up and resting in a good position. He knows he's going to have to abandon them, but he's not going to do it totally uncaring. Find a good spot to put him. Make sure his head and lips are moistened. Something to cross his lips to sip on or to chew on or something.
His as you're doing that, his eyes kind of open very weakly and just sort of gaze at you, but his eyes are kind of glazed over a little bit. You're not sure he's totally focused on you.
Would use his rucksack as a pillow, kind of lay him off to the side out of the direct sunlight, or well, where the sun would come down at, I guess, and kind of have some shade before he passes. Assuming he's going to die from this. Well, that's about all we can do. Everyone take their share. At least sell the weaponry if we're not going to use it.
Yeah, I think I've got all that I'm willing to take from him. I don't want to leave him entirely without.
We need to find alchemist. Sooner the better.
Indeed. Let us go find some place to rest away from prying eyes, and then when the sun rises, we go to the merchant district.
I concur, says Andolph.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. I guess we move on then.
Yes.
All right. It doesn't take very long for you to find one of the many abandoned little shitholes in the Talos that you can just collapse into and get a little bit of rest. This area is hardly safe. And smells pretty awful, but at least it's a place to lay your head for now. So maybe you get about that far.
Can't be worse than the place with rotting fish.
No, it's not that bad. There's no rotting fish here. So there's that. Okay. The night passes. It's you don't get too much sleep. I'm assuming one of you is going to wake up by mid-morning at least. You each need to make your checks for me. That would
Toughness.
be a toughness check. I need, and hold on, before you, that's fine. So nobody else roll quite. That was a very good roll. Keep that one. It is a minus 20 because of all of the extreme activity you did. That's still a success with a 13. So you're okay, Lucius. Everyone else, minus 20.
Minus 20.
Yep.
For being so cool, I should
It's-
get plus 20.
It's that time.
I'd like to spend Andolph's fortune points.
Oh, it's the group though.
Try it. I gotta reset it.
Oh shit.
Hey, at least neither of you critical failed.
Here goes the fortune spend.
Yeah. I will let you each do that if you want. You can. You can spend a fortune to reroll.
The succeeding's rather shitty, but yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, same. But, okay. So, what
Your
do we...
choice. You just do your toughness again.
Okay, at a negative 20.
Yep.
Okay. Ah, fingers crossed. Oh,
Nope.
guys, I'm worse.
At least you just don't want doubles.
Yeah, it's the same.
If only we had some citrus fruit.
Nikolai, did you do yours? No, not yet.
Yeah, he
I
he
failed.
rolled his.
Oh, you did. You failed as well. Okay. Thanks for the 2 misfortune points. All right. So each of you have to put a further -1 into all of your bonuses. And Andolph automatically fails. Ha, ha, ha.
-1 goes into our advances.
So there's a little box above advance, and just decrement that by 1. So if it's at a -1, make it a -2. If it's at a 1, make it a 0, blah, blah, etc. They're all going down 1. Except for Lucius.
Oh my gosh, I just looked at my health, my damage condition track.
Yeah, we're in bad
you're
shape.
You're
I'm
also
I'm grievously wounded. I'm so close to dead.
Yeah. You're all in bad shape, I think.
I think
What are you doing
Nikolai's
here?
alright.
I'm looking at your sheet.
I didn't
So
change that thing yet. I was just
Okay.
looking to my sheet. Where's
was-
that at?
To do the minuses?
Mhm.
Yeah, if you go to the skill and attributes tab,
Mhm.
you'll see for each of your attributes, there's a little box above advance. Combat has a 1 in it. Brawn has a 0.
Gotcha.
You want to reduce those by 1.
Oh,
Well, you don't want to, but you must.
I see. Don't do me like that.
And it is morning in the city. I'm going to say it's about mid-morning. One of you must have gotten up early enough.
The least sickest.
Yeah, probably you, Lucius. And it'd be up to you to wake everybody else up.
Or just leave us here.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. Andolph has the goods. So I get up from whatever miserable little corner we were in. Surprisingly not feeling that much worse. Looks out, sees the sun. All right. Rest is over. Wake up. Come on. We have business to attend to.
5 more minutes.
Francis just rolls over onto his other side and sighs a huge sigh.
I quite literally feel like death.
Well, it's good that you feel that way. It means it hasn't taken you yet. Well, good for you. Oh.
I don't feel like it is very good for me. I feel like if anything, it's awful, and it's getting worse.
I feel like I will strangle you both if you do not be quiet. Let us find damned alchemist before we join Torin.
Indeed. Endolf, get your rather large, ghoulish figure out of that sleeping bag.
And he's not responding to you.
Endolf? Walk over and push him a bit with my foot. Oh, no.
Did he maybe he slept on his soul? Maybe that's a pain in his side.
I'm gonna check him over. Same story.
Yeah, his skin in the daylight, you are aghast at how just how pale he is. And he is not wounded. He hasn't lost any blood. His skin just has a very unwholesome pallor to it. It's like a putrid sort of pale yellow or white. And he's sweating a lot.
Oh, my old verbal sparring partner. This is no way for you to go, I must say. But
I'm not dead yet.
you're in the same boat as Torin, I'm afraid.
No. He he forces himself to sit up. And he says, "Here, see." And he says, "Just give me a hand. I can stand."
I'll humor him.
Okay. Yeah, with great effort, he pulls himself to his feet. And he says, "There you see." And he picks up his stick and leans heavily on it.
Perhaps, just to be safe, I should carry the accoutrements from the alchemist in case you were to take a tumble. We would not want that to break, would we?
He, for a moment, he eyes you just a tiny bit suspiciously. Can you attempt a charm check, it sounds like you're trying to do?
Sure.
I'll give you plus 20.
Yeah, still failed. I may give you a
Not
misfortune
quite.
to reroll that.
He says, "I'll be quite fine, thank you. I can hold on to it."
I'm gonna fortune that and give you another misfortune point. Okay, well.
Oof.
Oof.
Yeah, you kind of reach out to take it, and you're starting to, and he with surprising alacrity, considering his condition, he just kind of bats your hand away, and he says, "I said I'm fine."
Don't let your stubbornness doom us all, Stargazer, but I'll humor you. Do not be afraid to ask for our shoulder if you feel yourself slipping.
He said, "Did I just hear you say not to doom us all from you?"
Yes. Find the irony, if you must, but find the truth in that as well. Francis, make sure Andolph doesn't fall on his face and break that miserable-looking nose of his.
He's too weak to even scowl at you, though you're sure he wants to.
I guess. Okay. I feel like if he falls down now, would it be worth just leaving him at that point? No offense, Andolph, but
And this time, Andolph does manage to muster up a glower, and he says, I look to be in better shape than you, fatty.
well, you see, there you go. I used the old reverse psychology on him, and he seems fit as a fiddle. Spring chicken.
Yes, you should be careful, Francis. Though I poke fun at Andolph, you should not seek a wizard's ire. Anyway, let us proceed and think not of such things, yes? Plenty of time to consider our dooms later.
All right. Which of the 3 gates do you intend to make your way towards? Actually, there are 4, technically.
Let's take the
Which-
middle.
Which direction do you think would be less populated? I mean,
It's the merchant district. I think that they're going to guard that pretty hard no matter where.
nah, that's true.
The Talos is always watched. The gates are always a little, I wouldn't say exactly tricky to get through, but they're more scrutinizing of people going in and out. I mean, going in, they don't care if you go into the Talos, but generally speaking, it's an unwritten law that they try to keep riffraff out, obvious riffraff out of the city. So they'll find excuses, they'll make up whatever excuses they must to turn undesirables away.
We have carte blanche. We have a piece of paper.
I don't think they care about that, but I'm definitely going to hand them some cash.
We got cooties. We just scare our way across.
Or they'll kill us.
Just go Tyler Durden on them and jump and spit blood all over them.
That's my biggest fear is if they'll even let us in. Kind of everybody hold your breath. We're here to do some shopping.
All right. Well, you make your way towards the gate. It takes you probably a maddeningly slow, long amount of time for you to get there. Partly due to Andolph, but you're all feeling pretty bad. Andolph and Francis especially, because of Francis's wounds. Like Francis, I don't know how much of a baby you're going to be vocally, but it hurts as you're walking around. Like now that you've had a night to sleep, like your wounds are more painful. You had some adrenaline the day before because you were about to die. But now that you're kind of semi-safe, the pain is fairly intense.
Now that you're still about to die, your adrenaline is worn off. Alright, so we're just making our way through the Talos up to the gate.
Yeah, I think that middle
Yep.
gate's the best bet. It's central.
That's fine.
It feels like I've got like a million knives stabbing into me. I think I'm losing a lot of blood.
You're bandaged. You'll make it. Drink some alcohol. You'll feel better.
I think I heard once that alcohol thins the blood, and wouldn't that make it worse? Or would it claw it? I don't know. I can't remember.
Sigmar will
But-
protect you as long as you're in his service. Why do you worry about such things?
Turned hand off. You think maybe I could get some of that salt to rub in my wounds to help maybe a bit?
He doesn't appear to even have heard you. He's focusing far too much on just moving. If he did hear you, he's ignoring.
Take that as a no. Yeah, see if I'll catch you then.
Goodness.
Well, you eventually make it to the gate. There's not a lot of traffic here. In fact, right now as you're walking up, it is guarded, and there aren't any other people going through at the moment, which is a little unusual. There's sort of a somber air about the little cadre of men standing at the gate there. And as you approach, they kind of liven up a little bit, and a couple of the guards actually sort of scoop up their spears, and they have them kind of half at the ready.
This doesn't look very good.
You can see there is a a watch captain of sorts. Certainly not captain, but he's leading this little contingent, whatever he is.
Sergeant, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Good morrow. How much to do some shopping today?
He says, what business do you have exactly? We're not just letting anyone through anymore. We don't want your sickness.
Perusing wares, goods and services, foods, things like that. Nothing too particular. Willing to pay to get in.
You see his mouth just momentarily smile when you say we're willing to pay to get in, and then then he kind of his face goes straight again, and he says, "We can't be letting any plague bearers through or looters." And he kind of waves one of the guards over and kind of approaches cautiously, 4 of you.
Well, we're
And he
neither of
said-
those things, but if you feel you must subject us to some sort of trial, then so be it.
Let's see. Francis, with your wounds, I need you to attempt... Oh, let's see.
Acting.
You could do stealth, skullduggery, or disguise. Any one of those will work. And stealth is the one that you don't need to have skill. The others, if you're not trained in skullduggery or disguise, then that won't go so
Just
well.
no modifier.
I'll give you a +10 because you're in a group.
Okay. Gosh,
Ooh.
how can I be so awful at rolling tonight?
We're all not doing very well.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also just plain. It's hard to conceal that you're wounded. It may have not have looked like much, but he kind of he looks at you, and then he sort of looks like he's going to go on, and you let out a little involuntary groan. You just can't help it, and he turns back and you see his eyes kind of look down, and he says, "What is that? Weeping sores?" And he steps back.
Can I attempt like charm or something?
What are you saying?
I
What-
would like to maybe explain to him that it was from somebody that I had killed recently.
Whoa.
Someone on the road.
What?
Go ahead and make a charm check.
Why, yes, they are.
Alright, let's see how this goes.
Oh God.
Yeah. He looks at you with confusion on his face, and he says, "We don't want no murderers in the city."
No,
He
no,
said,
it was
He said, "You riffraff can stay right where you are."
an ogre.
Oh, he's not with me.
And Francis will turn and look at Andolph.
Yeah, he's not with us.
Just pass the buck.
The other guard looks at Andolph and he says, "This one looks like he's about to die, sir." And Andolph says, "I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine." The sergeant just looks you all over, and he just shakes his head, and he says, "Not today. Not for you." And he waves his man, and they start to walk back.
No price would convince you otherwise.
Try another gate.
He stops. He stops and he looks at the other men, and you can see he's kind of he's doing an assessment of sorts. You can try a scrutinize.
Oh shit! Is this a trained thing?
No, it's not. Anyone can do it.
Can we assist at all?
I'll give you, because you're in a group. Yeah, I'll give you +10. Just one roll, but we'll say. Yes, you can tell he's looking at the other men sort of questioningly to see if they're willing to go along with taking a bribe to let sick people into the city. And potentially a cutthroat. So he's kind of looking at them, kind of conspiratorially. He doesn't want to. You can tell he's not sure if they're going to go along with it or not. But you can tell that he wants to.
I'll try to build off that if I can. Let's try to. I can see it's being considered. Let me offer this, and let me offer this as well. We would cause no trouble. We would not report you for letting us in. And, well, that completely clears you of any wrongdoing with us. Besides, there are worse people walking in the merchant district than us already, I'm sure you know.
I'll let you make a charm check on that one.
Shit. I need to start being mean instead of charming. Yeah, sure.
+10. I'll give you a +10 because you're also offering to actually make it +20 because you're offering a bribe. They want to take it. Okay. So you can see there's uncertainty, and a couple of them actually kind of stupidly look around like who would be watching, but they kind of look around, and one of them just kind of shrugs at the sergeant, and the sergeant kind of walks back, and he says, how much would we be talking about then?
And I will empty my 10 silver pieces out of my pocket and hold them and jingle them in my hand and see what if that appears interesting to him, I guess.
He looks, there's 10 silver pieces, there's 5 of them. He puts his hand out and then he thinks better of it and he says, just leave them right there at your feet.
Put them in a bag and throw them at my feet and stand there waiting for them to open.
And he walks in, and they stand aside to let you go through.
Come along then, all of you, even the bumbler. Looking at
and at this gate, the gate is actually closed, but there's like a man-sized door in the door that can be open, and that's open. And they let you go through that. It's a large door, if you're following me.
Yeah, that Fort Caroline has those down here. It's a door set within inside of a door.
All right, and as you go past, you can see the sergeant kind of motion to the guy that was with him to go pick up the bag, and he goes and picks it up. They all kind of look away. You can tell one of them's not super happy about this whole thing, but he's not saying anything.
I bet they sure as hell don't take the coin and bite it to see if it's real.
I bet you they don't.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you hear the sergeant say, "Go soak that bag in piss before any of you touch it."
And then bite it.
Yeah. All right. So you are through the gate.
So, which way you think we would be best from here then?
Whatever way the crowd tells us, Francis, which is why we should start asking. Preferably without Andolph being near anyone to spew his vitriol at them from the inside of his disgusting mouth.
You're not sure he heard you.
He didn't.
Yeah. All right. So I take it you're going to start down the main way there
and ask about.
Yeah, say we're a running errands.
Apple Row. Yeah. Okay. You start down Apple Row here. And you don't get very far, and you think Andolph, you can tell he needs to sit down. Like that, getting to the gate took all of his energy.
Look back at him. Find a bench.
He does. He sits down.
Begin to pace back and forth. Shaking my head.
He says, why don't you ask around, find directions? I'll wait here until you know more.
Do you think we could get that ledger from the captain from you? And
I said I'd be right here.
If we're going around asking questions, it would be nice to have some form of authority, I think.
No, I disagree. That would bring us too much attention. What I do think is that someone here should stay with Andolph, so he doesn't wander off in a fever dream, while the others go to search. Ask the common folk where this alchemist may be.
I am betting Francis wouldn't mind to sit down. Given
You are
his
betting correctly.
condition. Yeah.
Is it because he's fat?
No,
Oh,
it's because he is grievously wounded. That's
I'm
why.
one condition away from dead.
Yeah, he is in a very, very bad way.
Mm-hmm. Not good.
All right, so I assume Nikolai, you're gonna assist in trying to ask around.
Yeah, that's my mindset. Just say we're running errands trying to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Be a crier.
Nikolai, why don't you try either a disguise or a stealth or a skullduggery again to conceal your illness? I'll give you a plus 20. Oh, guile. Guile also works. Sorry. You can use guile instead if you'd like.
About to say I thought it had some abilities that worked off of that too.
You might. You can substitute guile for resolve. I see. But that's not quite what this
Okay.
is. Not entirely relevant.
Guile knows enough to just deflect. He's like, I'm looking toward whatever this hell his name is. Giving message. Yeah, I'm giving.
Uthvas Dobler, the apothecary.
Try to tell me quickly. I have an important message to give to you. And there's Guile. Am I overlooking? There it is. And what kind of modifier? 10?
Plus 20. I'll give you plus 20. Oh, so close. People are giving you wide berth. You go up to ask them questions and you're just not getting very far. The one or two people that actually seem to not notice or not worry about it, when you ask about it, they just shrug and move along.
Well, that just pisses me off. So I'll quickly go to intimidate.
Okay,
No.
go for it.
Like
I'll give you a plus 20 too because of your sickness now actually works to your benefit with intimidate. It scares people.
That's his mentality too. It's just like, look, I look for healer. I have an important message. Neither one of you don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Just tell me what damn healer is. Oh my God.
Wow, that's fucked up.
All you get are just people. Yeah, and in fact, you make a quick I want to say intuition, and there isn't one. Make a what is it? Oh shoot. Scrutinize. Make a quick scrutinize check for me, please.
If you miss this one by one, I'm gonna feel sad. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you're blundering around trying to scare people and just telling you. Lucius, you don't have to cover it up because you're not in nearly as bad a shape as he is. So you can you could just try a rumor, and I'll give you a plus 20 because this is your own city.
No, take the misfortune point.
Okay.
We're doing it again.
All right.
We're down to 1, lads.
You're down to 2.
We're down
you got
to-
2
okay.
left. Yeah.
Oh my god. That's
You guys,
sad.
have you succeeded at anything?
Yeah,
Oh,
nothing important though.
You got one. You got one. All right. You're asking around for a while, and unfortunately, it's taking you longer than it should. And Nikolai, meanwhile, has been stirring up trouble, trying to get answers. And Nikolai, would you make an awareness check for me, please?
Wow. What is happening?
It's really the flag.
By the time you notice the small patrol of men, there's 2 soldiers led by a kind of sergeant, a watch sergeant. One of the women you tried to scare, you hear her say, "That's him," and you look and you see her pointing in your direction, and they're about 50 feet away from you when you hear that. And you can see the watch sergeant start walking in your direction with the 2 guys following behind him, and the woman glaring at you with a very self-satisfied look. But you see that she's following them at a distance, not too close. And how do you want to handle this?
They're making their way here.
They're coming straight at you.
Yeah, I try to.
They're not running, but they're moving purposely in your direction.
Try to definitely use my lack of height. Try to find a spot to get the hell out of there.
Look around. I'll let you make another awareness roll to see if you can spot a nice. And I'm going to give you a plus 10 because I think you've been in trouble before, and had to find a quick way out.
What a night!
Holy crap!
What a time to be alive!
Crap. I think Sigmar is trying to tell us that this is the last session. Okay. You're looking around and you're not seeing any ideal places to slip away. There aren't any big crowds. It's just not very crowded. In fact, it hasn't been since you got here. And you don't see any awesome little alleyways that you might duck down in real quick either. When they caught you, you're kind of out in the middle of the road, sort of standing there imposingly. You were kind of getting ready. There was a foppish-looking man coming down the street from the other direction, and you were getting ready to kind of verbally assault him. And you're just not seeing it. Your only option, it seems, is to stand there and wait, or you could try, I guess, to walk away like you don't know what's going on, or you could run.
Well, if anybody would have just gave me a friggin' answer.
Yeah.
Now you get to berate the guards. If they would have just told me what I wanted.
I get to be the sick, pissed off Russian they always film on they film on cops. He gets in a heated argument, then going like, "Sir, let me give you your arm." "No, you don't need to touch me. I'm trying to tell you, we're here to save the world. Yeah, they're not coming at him full tilt blood crazy. He's got no reason to haul ass. So
No, they're just approaching him.
yeah, if he realizes there's nowhere to do it, to haul ass or duck out, then yeah, he'll be, he's like, "Someone please tell me where this alchemist is. It is most imperative I find him."
The sergeant kind of stops short and doesn't get too close to you. But he says, "Young sir, this woman here is saying that you're accosting people in the street, trying to spread your sickness."
Look at him, just kind of like real dismissive, like going, "I know not about sickness. I know that I'm trying to find somebody. It is most imperative that I do so. His name is, alchemist, blah, blah, blah. Dublin."
Okay, again, make your guile check to see if you can disguise your condition.
"All I seek is his whereabouts to put an end to this once and for all."
Oh God. Oh God.
You involuntarily cough as in the middle of saying all of that. And he says, and when you cough, the two spearmen kind of involuntarily kind of recoil a little bit. And you can see the sergeant kind of licks his lips, and he looks a little uncertain. And he says, "Are you a plague carrier?"
I'm so tempted just to go, "Oogie, boogie, boogie, boogie."
That sounds like the giggle of a madman.
I'm going to. Nikolai he's like, "Are you a plague carrier?" "I know not of plague. I only know that it is imperative I find this man." Says, "Do you wish to detain everyone here, or do you wish to save everybody in the city?"
Oh shit.
He says, "Save them from what?" "I ask you again, are you a plague bearer?"
"Do I look like plague bearer?"
He cocks his head and he says, "Well, frankly, yes."
To say she does not look like anybody. Everybody with dark circles under their eyes from no sleep. Everybody that coughs. The whole city is plagued by, insanity. Everyone is scared.
When you look at her and call her out, she kind of covers her mouth and steps back.
Okay, I'll quickly prey on that. "Look, she tried to cover cough. Look, she tried to cover cough."
They look back at her, and I'm going to give you another guile check.
God. Oh my God.
Good
This
luck.
one. Oh no. So, do I see this happening?
I'll spend
Oh
a
no,
fortune.
no, that's the
Oh
thing.
Jesus
I
Christ.
made you roll because if you had gotten your if you had made it and found out what you needed, you would have gotten back to him in time for all
Oh
of this.
Jesus Christ.
You're still asking around. You know he's covering this part. You're covering that part.
Yeah.
If there's a fortune point, I'd like to spend.
Holy shit.
Sure, there is. Of course, there is. There's still one left after.
Oh.
They seem momentarily confused, but you say, see, and you start coughing uncontrollably. And the woman screams and runs. And the sergeant says, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me. And he kind of nods at you, kind of to the other two guys, and they look at him like, what?
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to go crazy street person mode. And that's like, you know, pulling the shirt down to expose the chest, like, you want me out here, you come get me! You come take me out! All I try to do is save you all!
The two spearmen recoil again. They're like, what? And I hate to keep making you roll, but do an intimidate for me. And I'll give you a plus 20 on this one too, because I'm sure you're a crazy ball.
Hey!
Yeah. He's gotta go into gangster mode at that, you know. Like going, yeah, you want me out, you throw me out, you come, I tried to save you all. You know, like pounding his chest, he's like cussing him out, coughing. So like, all I do is try to help you. And I said, crazy bitch with coughing. Everyone here cough, everyone want to die. Okay, we fucking die. I send all to hell. Come on,
The sergeant says, go and get him. And the two men just sort of look at him like he's crazy. And he says, that's an order. And they just stand there. And one of them kind of meekly says, you're the sergeant. You should go get him. And you can see the sergeant, who's kind of young and inexperienced. You can sort of tell he might even be a little bit new to the job. And in fact, Nikolai, now that you're thinking about it, you've seen a lot more soldiers in town than ever there were before, and you're imagining they have probably been drafting people into service. And this young man looks very flustered, and he he says, very well, you two stay here and make sure he doesn't leave, and I'll go get help. And he kind of turns and goes the other direction, somewhat hurriedly.
As soon as he hauls ass, I'll immediately look at the two guards and just like dismissively just look at them with Shaw ready to defend myself, and then just try to get past them. Just go to hell with this. I said I try to. All I do is look for him. Oh, to hell! I go home.
So you're walking at them?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go. I'm assuming I gotta go past them. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, there's road behind you. It's just it was just open street, so they would have chased you in an open street. But yeah, I mean, you can go past them because when you walk towards them, they kind of look at each other and they're neither wanting to engage you. They both kind of step off to the side and let you pass. And the one that's weakly said to the sergeant that he should do it, he just kind of says, you're not supposed to leave.
Start continuing the rant and gangster walk away as fast as I can.
All right.
If you ever seen crazy people do this in real life, it's kind of funny the way they just don't care. Yep. Up until the cops tase him or nail him down on the ground, they just don't care. They just what the hell?
Sigmar has not blessed us with tasers to this point.
Yeah. Well, in any case, they start to follow you, and then the one guy kind of stops the other and says something to him, and the two of them just kind of watch you go. So
Yeah.
you have gotten away for now.
Yeah, definitely my priority here would be to get the fuck out, lay low, and then try to circle back and find these other chuckleheads.
Okay.
So while all that's going on, I'm sitting on the bench next to Andoff then, or
Yes.
Francis is. Now I have this cool hat now. Is it cool if I pull that down to conceal my mutilated face?
Sure.
And then I'm assuming there are probably passersby.
Of course.
Would it be
not
possible to...
frequent. There's not frequent traffic on the streets, but there.
Okay. Would it be possible to do perform an eavesdrop just to try and see if I can pick up any information about the general
Sure.
ongoings, whatever?
Sure.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. Well, definitely, people are hurrying from place to place generally, and everyone is terrified of the plague spreading. From what you overhear, the cases of the plague are mostly concentrated in the Talos, and that hence the reason why they are sort of blockading the Talos. And there's orders that unless it's an official, somebody of high standing known in the city, they're not really supposed to let anybody out of the Talos.
Mm-hmm.
You hear, though, that the Sisters of Shalia have very bravely continued to serve in the Talos, which they have been doing for years, but they are still going in there despite all of the terror of the plague. So, you also, let's see. What else would you hear that is of use? Certainly, you hear somebody say about how their nephew was just drafted into military service, into the militia, and it's how is this even legal that the the city can just pass a law in a day to draft young men into the militia when there's no clear need to do that.
Okay.
And the other one says, I hear they're drafting any of the riffraff. And she says, who are you calling riffraff? My nephew is a fine young man. They just kind of go off on their way.
Okay. So I guess Francis is just going to go ahead and do his best to try and catalog whatever he's hearing. And he looks over to Andoff just to see how if he's still with us, if he's still kicking.
Still with you, but he is not good. He's just kind of staring straight ahead, and you can see he's just, his skin is gray and pale and clammy. So you can even just sitting next to him, you can see the little beads of sweat all over his face.
Francis will shift and move as far to the side of the bench as he can to kind of get away from him or distance himself from Andoff.
Yep.
And then again, just kind of glance over at him just to see if he's even, recognized the fact that Francis has moved.
Nope, he doesn't seem to notice or care. One or the other, or both.
So I guess, so Francis will just turn to him and just go, you think you're going to make it? Because if not, I don't think I want you sitting on the same bench as me.
His head just slowly turns and he just glares at you silently.
I mean, I would like for all of us to be healed. You seem to be very useful in your respect. But you just look, if I must be completely honest with you, you look absolutely dreadful. And then he'll just
get a cure. Get a cure, and we'll be okay.
Yes, well, I don't think the cure's gonna fix my nose, but perhaps I can. I saved the skin, so maybe I could get it reattached at some point in time.
He
But
just looks away. Now he seems disinterested in whatever it is that you are saying now.
And Francis would just kind of lace his fingers in front of him and rest them on his belly and lean back on the bench a little bit with his hat pulled down a bit, the brim of his hat, covering his mutilated nose.
Okay. Lucius, it takes you a while, but you eventually find somebody who tells you, oh yes, the Dobbler, he's at right near the end of Iron Lane.
Oh, Sigmar's blessings. Thank you. Have a good day. And then just...
And a good day to you, citizen. And the man kind of hurries off. He has a kerchief around his face, and he says, I recommend you put a kerchief around your face. I hear that can help protect from the ill vapors. And he heads off.
Oh, he's probably sick too. Smart guy. Yes. I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and actually no, that probably makes me look suspicious. No. So I was considering doing it.
You've seen a couple people with kerchiefs up around their faces.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. So
yeah, okay.
I come back and try to get back to where Francis and Andolph were when I just left.
And by happy coincidence, Nikolai has just rounded his way back and has and is rolling his way up in a huff.
Well, I have achieved success. I know where he is located. I suggest we make haste.
Definitely. I already had the run-in with guards. They probably look for me now.
What?
Just find the damn alchemist.
Oh. Come along quickly, everyone, before we are hunted down like dogs.
Yeah, quickly is not a word that's going to happen here. But you can make your way down Apple Lane or Apple Street, or road rather, Apple Road, as the turtle moves. And
that's just space for me.
And I will let one of you make a stealth check for the group,
okay,
to avoid any run-in.
Oh shit!
And this is going to be straight up because there's 4 of you, and there are no crowds for you to disappear into.
All right, I've had the best luck to be completely objective, so I'll do it. Oh, God.
Okay. It wasn't a critical failure, so it's not the group that's out looking for Nikolai. But there is a 3-man patrol, which you've seen a few of those, and they're just walking down the street. They kind of step out from a side street. Excuse me. And maybe I have the plague. And they look around. They're just curious. They look in the directions, and the watch sergeant seems to be interested in your little group, and they start to walk over in your direction.
And I noticed this.
Oh yeah.
Well, I will...
They're ahead of you, and there's not that many people in the street, so it's very easy to spot a group of soldiers.
All of you try to remain calm. Let's try to continue walking. I don't want to do anything that's going to tip them off even worse. Just try to work our way through this, I guess.
The sergeant comes closer, and unfortunately, as he gets within range, you can see he is an older, seasoned-looking fellow, not young and inexperienced or, old and infirm. He looks like he knows his business. That's your immediate assessment. And you can tell he's going to check you out, but he's pretty good at least politely pretending like he's not going to do that. He's making it look like he's just walking your direction, but he's checking you out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't say anything unless engaged. I just continue to...
Let's have Lucius, you're fine. Francis and Nikolai make guile checks for me. Or stealth, your choice. Or disguise. Disguise is fine too. Because that's Francis. You might be good at that.
Getting them blind.
Nice. You managed to keep yourself looking somewhat normal.
Francis is having pet trouble.
Oh.
He may need a roll.
Okay, why don't we take a quick bio break anyway then? That's not a bad time for that. Guile or stealth check.
Oh boy.
For these sergeant that's
Why?
interested in taking a look at you.
Why do you do this to us? Alright, disguise it
it's
is.
his job.
That's the situation in the city right now.
Okay, no modifier, right?
No.
This guy's good.
Oh
no!
Oh my.
Use it!
That is a critical
Just use the
failure.
last one.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
Jesus
yeah, I'm
Christ.
using the last one.
Can't disguise that nose.
That's
Nope.
not good either, but it's not as bad.
All right. He stops and he says, "Good day to you, boys."
Yes, a good day. And seems like he's barring our way at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Francis is just doing his best to keep his brim pulled low, and he's looking down and just kind of looking back and forth as if to check interesting things on the ground.
Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, the sergeant says, "Where would you be off to on this fine day?"
Well, oh God, here we go. Well, we were here in the market doing a bit of shopping, groceries, and things of the like. And my friend here, apparently some riff-raff came in from the Talos and beset upon him. We were going to the alchemist to see if he had some poultices that could ease the pain.
From the Talos, you say?
Yes.
Those gates are supposed to be closed to riffraff.
That is what I understood, but these men did not look like they called anywhere decent home. They were in rags, tatters. They set upon us from one of the alleyways. We fought them off, as you can see. We have our means of defending ourselves, but my friend was caught unawares.
All right, guile me with a +20. That's a reasonably convincing story. Mm-hmm. He says, "You need medical attention?"
Well, we have staunched the flow of the blood for the most part. I'm afraid his face will never be quite as hideous again, but he is in pain. And we go to this apothecary we have heard is willing to do things for cheap. We are not very well off ourselves, but better off than those.
You can see he seems uninterested anymore, and he just kind of waves you on and starts walking down the street past you.
And after he gets a fair bit of ways, continue walking.
All right, you eventually you eventually get to the end of Iron Lane, and it is finally you locate this little ramshackle place that's with a sign above it in Reichspiel that says "Rusty Remedies."
And at this point, Francis is in pretty bad shape, obviously, but he's, due to all the walking and everything, he has been groaning and moaning a lot, expressing well, I guess he just keeps going on about how much pain he's in. And I hope this apothecary he can do something with my nose. That would. And he kind of starts to drift out a little bit, and he snaps back. Yes, the apothecary. I hope he can do something with me nose.
With me nose? Yeah.
I hope he can do something with me nose.
All right. You were at the door.
Praise be to Sigmar for delivering us so far. A second praise if this man still lives. Oh, knock a few times very weightily.
Okay. The door opens and a young man, youngish man, stands in the doorway. He's got an apron on, and you can see there's some odd stains of some color, a couple of red and green on his fingers. And he says, "What can I do for you, gentlemen?"
Are you Doubler?
"No, I'm Helmut, his assistant." You need to see the man?"
Yes, we have.
The old man says,
Yes, we come with grave news from the captain of the guard. Please, let us in.
he steps aside or actually he steps back into the room and just kind of gestures you in. And he said, I'll go and get him. He's resting, but I'll see if he will come out. And he goes to the door and he kind of knocks quietly and says, Master, and opens the door and disappears inside.
Go to the door and try to eavesdrop.
Okay. Well, then that's a perfect opportunity for an eavesdrop roll.
Yeah, my mind's paranoid. Is somebody already killed the one dude who's to say they haven't already come here and killed this guy?
Randolph sees the chair too and just collapses into it. You hear a kind of, but you can't make it out. The door is too thick.
Yeah. I tried though.
You did. And eventually, the door does open, and this man steps out, and he he looks you up and down and says, "I'm Urthvas Dobler. What business do you have with me?" And you see Helmet kind of standing in the background there, just kind of watching.
Yeah, Nikolai's face will scrunch up, and assuming that is the guy that we need to talk to, he'll look at his associate rather negatively, as if he doesn't want that dude there. You know,
He seems oblivious to that glare.
and I'll eventually drift my gaze towards the others in the group, kind of like, do we want both of these people, or we just want the main guy?
Let's look down at Nikolai and just shrug, and then look over to Dobler. My name is Lucius Pyreheim. These are my associates Nikolai, Francis, and Andolph. We were contracted by the captain of the guard to bring you information and a cure for this plague that afflicts us. We were given your name specifically.
Which captain would that be?
We have a document. Yes.
It is Captain Nearhouse. And
Oh. Is the captain well?
No. He would not be forthcoming about his issues. That said, Andolph, are you alive?
He kind of looks up from the chair he's sitting in, and you see the man looks over at Andolph and looks mildly irritated that he's sitting at the desk there. But he doesn't say anything. And Andolph kind of looks up at you and says, "Oh, what?
Are you alive?
Of course I'm alive, fool.
Bring
Don't I look alive?"
out the accoutrements from the other alchemist. Francis, help him so he doesn't drop anything.
He starts fishing around to try to find the stuff in his satchel. And he's being annoyingly slow.
Francis will go over and start patting him down to help him.
He seems weakly irritated, but can't really stop you, and you find the stuff in his
I
satchel.
will explain parts of our journey to this man, leaving out anything that involves us murdering individuals or anything like that. But I'll let him know where we came from, and at the end of it, I will be forthcoming that we are carriers, because he should know what he's dealing with, and that may help him with his time frame.
Yeah, when you say you're carriers, you're probably half expecting a little recoiling, or he doesn't seem overly concerned. But he does seem very eager to get his hands on what you have, and he takes those and looks them over. And he says, "Oh, thank the gods." He says, "This could be useful." He says, "Where did you get these notes?" Oh, let's see.
An alchemist. And outside of the city is it Talabheim?
Yes.
In Talabheim, we went to find the alchemist there. He was dead. Some strange foreign weapons sticking out of his neck.
Good heavens. He says, "Well, these notes should be of use. I have been working on trying to discover the source of this plague and how it might be counteracted. You don't mind if I keep these, do you?"
By all means, that was our goal. We were told by the captain if anyone could solve this, it would be you.
He looks at Francis and he says, "You look like you took a bit of a tumble."
And Francis just kind of, for once, actually just gives out a small chuckle. Yeah, I guess you could say that. So
he looks at you more closely. "Good heavens, more than a tumble." He hands his apprentice the bits, and he says, "Go put those on my workbench in there." And he takes them, and he says, "We'd better have a look at you."
And Francis will actually pull out the flap of skin that once covered his nose, and I managed to recover this. You will let me know if there's anything in those notes which might help you to reattach my nose. That would be most wonderful.
He kind of smiles indulgently, and he says, "Well, if I were you, I'd preserve that nose and put it on your shelf." He
And
says,
he looks at it.
I doubt there's anything in those notes that's going to help me reattach your nose, young man." He says, Don't worry. Lots of veterans have lost a nose and led perfectly almost normal lives. Except for the part about probably never being married and frightening children and all that. But really, you'll find some line of work."
Francis just
No doubt.
looks at the nose and just frowns. I've not
He
really any.
He says,
use
unless
for
you're
it.
rich, of course. Are you rich?
And Francis just looks at him, just stares at him hard.
And he says, no, then no marriage for you, I'm sure. But never mind about that. And he says, "I can take a look at at those bandages there and see what's underneath, and perhaps I can do something for that. Be amazed at what some chemicals can do."
We'll just stand there. Francis will stand there and just do it, but he's got his left hand held out with the nose still in it, and he's just looking sad right at the nose as the apothecary looks him over.
He looks at the nose rather thoughtfully, and he turns to a shelf over here and grabs a small little jar with a cork stopper, and and opens that up and holds it out for you to drop the nose in.
Francis just slowly turns his hand and lets the nose fall in.
And he corks it up and hands it to you, and he says, "Yeah, something to remember your scrape by, whatever it was that that caused the loss of that nose."
Francis
says,
just
"Now-"
holds the bottle and stares at it, continues to stare at the nose.
He says, "Let's see." He says, "Helmet, make some room on one of the tables in there. I've got a..." And you see he kind of rubs his hands together and comes in, and he says, "Lie down over there." I assume you follow him in.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, "Now lie." The helmet is clearing off one of the tables from jars and beakers and stuff. And he says, now lie down there and I'll have a look." And he says, "Now you tell me if it hurts too much as I'm poking around."
Okay.
And he just kind of pokes and prods, and he says, "Now I'm going to try pouring some ointments and such over these, and you tell me if it feels better." And he takes a jar of something and starts slowly dousing one of your stomach wounds, and it hurts like hell when he does it.
Francis just grimaces and lets out a whimper. Ooh, ooh.
He says, now, don't be a baby." And he says, "This is probably doing you a world of good."
It's burning.
"Of course it's burning. It's destroying all the ill humors."
I like to keep me humors. It's how that's how I'm able to get on it through my day.
He laughs and he says, "Well, there are good humors and ill humors, and this should get rid of some of the ill humors."
And Francis's eyes are just welling up with tears.
And what are the rest of you doing during this?
Well, I'm paranoid, so if there are any windows or anything, I'm looking around outside and standing very close to the doors.
There are windows, but not to the street.
Just kind of pacing in this main room and going back and forth. Very nervous because we've made it to our destination, but that doesn't mean it's done.
Nikolai will start trying to distract his sense of ill ease by trying to find details in the room. It's like, is there any pictures or anything of the people here? Basically trying to ascertain these people's identities as actually being known.
There are no pictures in either room. Judging by the way things are organized, or rather not organized, you get this sense that Mr. Dobler is not the most organized person at all. There's no discernible order to how all of these little ingredients and tinctures and such are laid around. You can attempt a scrutinize check for me, though.
My biggest fear is just handing all this stuff off to somebody that's killed the actual guy and pretending to be him or some shit like that. Scrutinize. Of course I won't make it.
Yeah, other than that, everything seems normal here as far as you can tell. It's just not very well organized. Andolph is just kind of slumped over on the desk. breathing very quietly. And Dobler is with Francis for about an hour, rubbing different ointments and pouring concoctions into the open wounds and then bandaging you up. You're not sure if he helped or hurt, but you are 100% happy that he's done when he's done. Like the sense of relief is overwhelming. You've probably been crying on and off and not realized it, but when you sit up, you can feel that your cheeks are wet. But he doesn't seem to have noticed. And he says, well, that's about all I can do for you. But that's something, isn't it? Something is more than nothing. And
Francis will just nod. Thank you. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Although it did hurt incredibly.
Well, of course it hurt. There's haven't you heard the old saying that there's no good without pain?
No, I've not heard that.
Oh, well, maybe I made that up. I'm not sure. Well, in any case, there's really no healing or goodness without some sort of pain. And isn't that right, Helmet? And the Helmet says, yes, sir, quite right.
And Francis will make his way back out to rejoin the rest of the group.
You feel sore. And he says, well, I thank you for bringing me that useful information, and I'm going to begin my studies of it anon. He says, I suggest you try in again perhaps tomorrow and see if I've made any progress. I assure you, if I do find a cure, you'll be the first to receive it. I owe you at least that much.
If I might suggest, I think we should try to stay and guard you, given what happened to the other alchemist.
He kind of makes a grimace when you say that, and he says, well, as you can see, there's not really very much room here, and in your condition, you're likely to frighten off any custom I might have.
Nonetheless, we will be close by. We will try to, well, avoid patrols and stay nearby your estate here. I think that would be best.
Yeah, as you wish. He said, if you're looking for a place to stay, he says there's an inn not too far from here.
Francis just looks over in a really pathetic looking manner. I've not any money.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. And you see him kind of frown, and he says, well, I suppose I ought to pay your keep, since you've weathered such storms to get here. He goes into a little chest of his, and you can see him kind of, he's kind of ill attempting to conceal what he's doing, but it's obvious he's going into this little chest and rooting around in there, and you hear some clinks and metal, and he comes out with a small little sack that he has assembled with some jingling bits in it, and he comes over and hands that to Lucius. And he says, this ought to be enough to get you a room. Even with these high prices, they may have to kick someone out, but that ought to do the trick. He said the stuck pig is right through the gate there at the end of Iron Lane. If you go a couple blocks through the gate on the left, you'll come to it. And if you tell them I sent you, the owner's rather partial to a special ointment I provide him from time to time, given his rather unfortunate condition, you understand. He ought to put you up.
Sigmar's blessings upon you, Doubler, for your generosity. We will take you up on this offer. We will be back on the morrow to see your progress.
And he says, I will, if you're there, let me know, and that way I can send Helmut to you if I do find anything or have any questions for you. Good day. And he says to Francis, do try to get some rest. My my chemicals aren't magic. You do need rest.
Francis will just nod, and he just, because he's still in quite a bit of pain, and at this point he's pretty exhausted, he just kind of whispers, "Thank you, thank you."
There are approximately 30 silver pieces in that bag.
All for Francis.
He actually gave it to Lucius.
I know who he gave it to. Who's holding all the guns here?
The guy with no nose. And no sense.
Yes, no sense indeed.
So...
Well, let us be off. And off, can you walk?
He makes himself stand up and creaks along with you. And down, there's no trouble getting through this gate. They're not really vigilant there. There is a small group of there's just 3 soldiers there, but they look like they're more just there to respond to trouble than to watch people going in and out. And as you walk by, they barely even give you a look.
So as we exit out onto the street and if we're away from, overhearing ears.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, I suggest that we get some rest at the inn now, and perhaps come back during the night and stay up through that time. Walk the street. Is there? Oh, they have a curfew, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
That's when bad things would happen, though. So. I think we get our rest at the inn now, and leave, and try to be in the shadows during curfew. Dobler seems confident that he will be safe. I do not. I'm sure the other alchemists thought just as much. I think there'll be an attempt on his life.
Yeah, I agree actually. But yeah, I think it is best we come back at night. We get as much rest as we possibly can. I mean, with Andolf in the condition that he's in, he's going to be of absolutely no use to us, and I'm almost in that same condition, same boat. So I think it would definitely benefit all of us.
Your thoughts, Nikolai?
Yeah, rest would be good. I worry for the shopkeeper, the alchemist life. My biggest concern is they are maybe already here.
You think the assistant?
I do not know. Maybe it's sickness cloud head. Just, could be already here, could be following us, watching us.
Yes, we can't trust anyone. Not at all. But we must seek some refuge and get rest. It will be of no use to this alchemist to protect him from that which he does not see. Let us be off to this inn.
All right, you see the stuck pig up ahead. There's an obvious a plaque with a big fat pig with a spear sticking through it. A couple spears, in fact, as you get closer.
As they're getting closer, Francis sees the sign, just remembers who he is, and just grabs his stomach.
It reminds you of the pain in your stomach. All right, so you arrive at this inn, and you can see that it's not very busy at present.
Anybody manning any desks or anything like that?
There's a there's the what you assume is the proprietor, since he's a little too well dressed behind the bar to be just sort of some hireling.
Good eve to you.
And to you, sir. How can I be of assistance? Can I get you a drink?
Drinks and meals, as well as a room for the night.
I'm afraid I'm all full up, sir.
Commons?
If you like.
Would referencing a good friend of mine named Dobler do anything to clear any space in your establishment?
He kind of smirks a little and said, "The old man sent you, did he?"
With his blessing, Sigmar's blessing, and put that bag on the table, and coin.
He steps over and kind of peers over and kind of fingers the bag open and pokes around in there and looks at the number of coins, and he seems satisfied, and he takes it and he says, "There is one rather obnoxious guest that's been annoying me for the past couple of days and complaining about being stuck here. I think it's time to eject him." And he opens the bar and comes out, and he, "Gentlemen, have a seat, and I'll bring you some food presently after I've cleared out your room for you."
You have my thanks, sir.
And he kind of disappears and goes off this way.
Francis, having heard about the food, moves with surprising speed to make his way to the table.
You hear a door opening, and you hear the man saying a litany of, "It's time for you to leave." And you hear, "But I have paid up in full." And he says, "That's not the issue." He said, "I've got very important guests, and you have disturbed my other guests on more than one occasion. I warned you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes kind of on, and he says, but I have nowhere to go. He says, that's not my problem, is it? And you can hear him kind of shooing this gentleman out, and you see a Bretonian, you presume merchant, kind of half-dressed, trying to throw clothes on as he is ushered out the door, and the proprietor has kind of gathered up his stuff and rather unceremoniously dumps it outside and comes back. And he looks rather self-satisfied and goes back into the kitchen and starts bringing you food and drink. And then afterwards shows you to your room, which is here. He introduces himself as Anders Latcher. And he says, my establishment is yours until you can no longer pay, or until you annoy me or the other guests, as you've seen.
Don't worry, you'll have no trouble from us at all.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. And then he goes about his business. So, you have a room.
Yeah, so after I guess a meal, unless anybody had something they want to do at the table, I guess we'd all go back to our room and consult what we want to do next at that point.
There's one large bed that could, in a pinch, accommodate perhaps 3 of you, or even 4 of you if you were to arrange 2 heads to the foot and 2 heads to the head.
I think that's okay.
You want big spoon or little spoon?
I can sleep on the floor. I do not require comfort to get my rest. Whoever wishes to divvy up the bed.
Gandalf collapses into the bed.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
He doesn't even wait for any other words.
Yeah, take Papa Squat anywhere, makeshift. As far as comments, it'd be like, so we wait till morning, or perhaps we go to try and see alchemist tonight, or
We will go.
I'm simply too tired to think right.
We go tonight. We get our rest. Those of us that can go. Looking at Andolph kind of sidelong, because I expect he'll be.
He will not be going anywhere.
I expect he's going to be passed out. So, those of us that can go, we go at night. Because what I expect is that our adversaries will attempt to remove the alchemist from the equation. This we cannot allow. It is Sigmar's divine plan for us to prevent this plague and allow all of us to die worthy dooms instead.
Okay, who all is going to watch over Dobler's establishment then?
I think we're getting rest now and then all go, in my understanding. With the exception of
Okay.
whoever can't physically even make it, i.e.
Yeah, Andolph is definitely going to. In fact, when you wake, you kind of check out Andolf, and he is not breathing.
Oh. Well, this is an inconvenience, isn't it?
Did he shit the bed? Final release? Or...
Of course he did. It's Warhammer.
It's always a good sign that he's dead right there. He's not. The cripple, he's not breathing.
We'll deal with it in the morning. Will not be disturbed.
Okay.
Gonna stink up the room.
Yeah. I assume, Francis, you're going to try to keep watch as well?
He's got some message in the game. AFK act,
Yeah,
baby.
He is extreme. Yeah, I'm going to say he is... The chemicals and all that have made him extremely drowsy. He is not going anywhere. So it will be the two of you.
Just curl up in bed with the corpse.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he doesn't know it's a corpse. He's passed out.
That'll help with his drowsiness.
So you're going to make your way, and the gate is closed. Although there is a little shift of guards there.
Ah, okay.
I
It's
kinda-
by gatehouse, I see.
Mm-hmm. Are you approaching the gate?
I don't think there's any other way around. Probably have to bribe our way in again. If we have money. We should have took Andolf's money.
It's a short walk back.
I'd see
Yeah,
that and go
and-
back and grab the money, probably. We're going to need it to get past it.
Okay. All told, there are 2 gold coins and 17 silver, which is quite a small fortune considering your circumstances.
And he never split those funds up.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I
We'll
thought.
sort that out later, don't worry.
Well, I'm just saying. So he's been just walking around with all our money, dying.
He has.
Yeah, I'd get all that out and then come back and...
Okay. The guards there want to know what your business is this late at night.
Well, our business lies on the other end of this gate, but your business with me lies in this coin purse. Does that sound agreeable to you?
He shrugs. He says, I suppose that depends on the weight of that purse.
Is it just the one guard, 2 guards? How many guards here?
There's 3. The other 2 look really bored.
6 silver pieces?
Done.
Hand him the 6.
He seems very happy with that take. And they let you through the little postern gate there. And you make your way through. And then you guys can keep a watch. There's a little side street. If you can see, you can hang out in and keep an eye on the building. I will let you both make an awareness check with a -20. It is very dark and other things.
Oh boy.
Who is you? Who are you both?
Oh, you were
Nikolai,
passed out.
Nikolai and Lucius.
Okay, that's I kind of figured.
Shit. Oh, for God's sakes. It's
Okay.
to anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. The night passes and you have seen nothing untoward. And then it's morning. And you're feeling really tired. You got some sleep, but
Well, Nikolai, I think we should check on the alchemist since his shop is likely open at this point.
okay. You go to the shop. It's a little early, but knocking on the door does eventually get Helmut to unlock it and open the door. And he says, "Oh, you again. Come in. Master's sleeping." He asks if you have news or if you're checking.
Just checking in. It is the morning after all. And then I'm also gonna see if anything appears suspicious at this point, because Nikolai did tell me that I don't trust this guy.
Yeah, you can attempt a scrutinize for me. He looks a little I don't know if it's a nervous would be the word,
How is it?
but otherwise
How
normal.
is it that he looks nervous? Is it sweating? Is he looking around? Nervous tick?
Yeah, he's kind of looking behind you, and kind of not meeting your eyes.
And that's when we asked about his master specifically?
It was actually almost as soon as you came in.
I'll look behind me at the door and look back at him. Something wrong?
He says, "Is it just the two of you?"
Perhaps. Why do you ask?
He said the older man with the weird eye. He looked quite advanced in his condition.
Yes, well, we have not seen him since last night. I couldn't tell you. We were at the inn. Again, why do you ask?
I do not wish to contract the plague, sir, if you'll excuse me.
Fair enough. He is not with us.
He just kind of...
You- What do you know of this plague?
He says, I know that it's probably going to kill a lot of people if we don't find out why and how to stop it. He says, um, he says, so far it seems that Ulvas believes, as did whatever the apothecary that wrote the other notes, that this is a manufactured plague, not natural.
How does it kill you?
Well, we don't know that yet, but why manufacture a plague that annoys people? Seems like an awful lot of trouble to go through just to give someone the shits.
I just want to know what to expect in days to come.
Well, you can ask the man yourself. Says, if you'll excuse me. And he goes to the door and goes in and closes it behind him.
Once again, be all up on the door, being nosy and listening.
Okay, you can make an eavesdrop.
I'll never make it.
Nope. In fact, he comes to the door and opens it and kind of looks at you standing there but doesn't say anything. And you can see the old man has kind of risen from his bedroll, and he's kind of wrapping a robe around him. And he says, "You're up and sprightly about early in the morning." He says, "I suppose that's a good quality in a man, or a dwarf."
We're concerned for your safety. No time is of the essence.
He says, "I am fine. I'm fine. A little tired. I stayed up late working." He said, he says, "I'm on the scent." He says, "Do you have news for me, or are you just here to check on my progress and my well-being?"
The latter. Make sure you're safe. See if you discovered anything.
He says, "Well, as you can see, I'm perfectly fine." And he says, "Well, if there won't be anything else," he says, "I assume you were able to secure a room at the Stuck Pig?"
Yes, but I should be forthcoming with you about the old one, the cripple that we were with.
Hmm.
He is dead, passed in his sleep.
Oh dear. Do you suppose it is the plague that did him in?
I would bet on that over old age.
Yes, indeed. Said, "Well, if there's any way you can get the body here to me, I would benefit from looking at it."
That's what I thought you might ask. We will see what we can do.
Excellent. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really should just have a quick bite to eat and get to work. And he goes through the door. He says, "Helmet, see them out." Helmet comes in and says, "Well, Sir Master must get ready for his day."
Of course, of course.
And he kind of looks at the dwarf a little glaringly.
Helmet?
Helmet, yep.
Why the hell are you gonna look at me? Because I was listening at the door? Oh, well.
He closes the door behind you. And he puts a note out on the door before closing it that says closed.
Oh. So now, after going through rat-infested sewer, struggling through the town guard, now I must bring a corpse to an alchemist. What an absolute, ridiculous level of effort to put in for this doom. Well... Man. I guess we would...
Are you going back to the pig?
Yeah, we're going back to the pig. Let Francis know the deal.
Yeah, that way we can see Francis wake up next to a corpse.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately for you, it's the same little patrol that's almost done with their shift at the gate. So they don't charge you to go back through again.
Goodness.
And yes, as you come in, you startle Francis awake. And as you walk in the door, and Francis, as you wake up, you notice there is an acrid smell of dung in the room.
Oh. What is that terrible, awful smell?
It's very nearby, and you surmise that the old man shat himself in the bed next to you.
Oh, how horrible. And Francis will actually reach over and just touch him lightly
Mm-hmm.
on the skin.
Yep. His skin is cold.
And Francis will quickly help himself to his feet and get out of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's actually going to be all that shaken.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got indifference.
Yeah.
So.
And you kind of suspected it was coming anyway, so.
Right. So he's just gonna... There are no chairs in this room?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna go sit over in this corner. He didn't have anything else left on him, did he?
I don't think he had anything of
Salt.
great value to you. Salt, yeah. Yes, he had a staff.
Staff of
Staff
salt.
infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, he's got a few, a couple things in his satchel that, could be of value, but there's nothing useful.
Gotcha.
I don't believe. Yeah, he's got a little bottle of leeches. He's got some black plant. You're not sure what that is. He's got a couple of little bottles, little tiny tincture bottles, one of quicksilver and one of royal water, and some smelling salts. A little silver tuning fork and a jar of, you're not sure what it is, but it's like white, like a white cakey substance.
Okay. Yeah, Francis might actually be interested in some of those odds and ends
ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Given
Okay.
his particular nature, so
All right.
scoop those up off of him.
Yeah, they're not really off him. It's his satchel. He dropped his satchel on the floor before crawling into bed.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, just dig through his satchel and grab out whatever I guess I find of particular use. And you said there were some smelling salts,
Mm-hmm.
some black.
Black Lotus.
Stygian, the best. I would sell Haga to a slayer such as you.
All right. It's getting kind of late. I think it's time to stop this session. So it looks like we're going to have one more this Friday.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and
Oh, sorry, Doc.
stop it.